want to welcome everybody here today for this very important, I think very timely press conference. I am New York State Senator and New York State Senate Republican leader Rob Orton. I am joined by two of my colleagues, State Senator-elect Stephen Chan, as well as State Senator Rob Rollison from the Hudson Valley, from the Poughkeepsie area, Dutchess County. And you're going to hear from both of them on this issue. They represent constituencies that are impacted by congestion pricing. And we're here to really talk about, I know we'll get into maybe some of the details of this congestion pricing scheme, but it really is, at its core, it is an additional tax on hardworking people here in New York City, as well as the surrounding suburbs, the Hudson Valley, Long Island, people who come into the city to see their family, people who come in for work, people who come in for medical needs. All of these, the reasons you would come into Manhattan. This is a tax, and what's worse is in a little bit, the governor is going to announce the reinstating of congestion pricing. Governor Hochul paused this. Now, to go back in time, this is important. The Republican conference in the Senate unanimously voted against the original congestion pricing plan. Now, Senator-elect Chan wasn't there yet, but he will when he's there. And Senator Rollison and I were proud, along with many of other colleagues, to vote no. Most of my Senate Democratic colleagues voted for it, I think with the exception of one or two. And many of them now are against it. And the reason they're against it is because they heard from their constituents in an election year that this was going to be harmful to them. They saw it as an additional tax. They couldn't afford it in a city and a state that is already very unaffordable. This was another thing that was going to take their dollar out of their pocket into the coffers of the MTA, which I've been in Albany for 10 years. The MTA has needed more money every year that I've been in Albany. They've never come to the legislature and said, you know what, we're good. They've always needed more. They've always been missing money. They've always mismanaged money. It is arguably the worst managed public transit authority in the country, maybe in the world. And so the idea that we're going to do another tax to put money into their coffers, I think at this point is unconscionable. But the real, I think, frustrating part, the real ironic part is the governor in a short time is going to say that she paused this plan in the spring. She said that New Yorkers couldn't afford it. She said that when she was traveling around visiting diners, listening to real New Yorkers, they were telling her how this was going to be harmful. Even Whoopi Goldberg on The View said it was a bad idea. And she said, we're going to pause it. And not a week plus after the election, we're going to reinstate it, which tells you everything you need to know about Governor Hochul, and I believe the state Democrats' position on this. This is not about policy. It's not about people. It's not about pricing. This is about politics. They paused it to get them through the election. They paused this so that it was not harmful to some congressional Democrats and state Senate Democrats who were running some tough election fights. And now that the election is over, they think that New Yorkers are either too stupid, aren't paying attention, suddenly don't care about affordability and inflation. It really is shameful and disgraceful that the governor, a week after the election, is going to bring this plan back. And they're going to have to come back to the legislature. And I hope that my Democratic colleagues, people like Senator James Skoufis, who's very eager to tell people he's against this, but when the vote came, he voted for it. Senator Monica Martinez from Long Island, she's very much against it. But when the vote came, she voted for it. Whoa! And let's be clear, there was an amendment that Senator Bill Weber, Republican senator from Rockland County, put on the floor to repeal congestion pricing. And every single member of the Senate Democratic Conference voted against that amendment that would have repealed it. And so whenever the rubber has met the road, my colleagues across the aisle, with the exception of a few, have been on the wrong side of the aisle. That's why we're talking about this. The governor has the power to stop this plan, and she is not doing it. She is drawing the wrong conclusion from last week's elections. She's drawing the wrong. New Yorkers cannot afford this. New Yorkers do not want this, and yet it is being foisted upon them. It is being forced upon them in a very shameful, disgraceful, and political way. You're going to hear from Senator Rollison about, why this is why people distrust their government, and so we're calling on Governor Hochul. It's probably too late, but in just a few minutes, she's going to try to reinstate this plan, and our conference has been against it from the beginning. Our conference remains against it. It's a terrible plan. It is a tax. It is an additional tax on people in this city and people in this state who pay some of the highest taxes in the country. And the way she's doing it is really craven and really disgraceful and shameful. And the governor should be ashamed of herself the way she's going about this. At this time, I'm proud to call up a soon-to-be colleague, someone who heard about this issue when he was campaigning over the last several months. He heard about it from his constituents. He knows the impact it's going to have on them. Several of them are here today. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why Senator-elect Steve Chan is going to become Senator Chan come January. So I'm going to call up my soon-to-be colleague, Senator-elect, I don't know if you just dropped the elect, Senator Steve Chan.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Leader Ord. Thank you, Senator Rollison, for coming down from the Hudson Valley over here to New York City. My name is Steve Chan. I'm the new Senator-elect for District 17 in South Brooklyn. I want to thank everybody for being here. So throughout the course of my campaign in the last 1 year, it wasn't hard for me to talk to the neighbors because everybody is so frustrated about some of the policies that Albany has instilled upon them over the last several years, ever since the Democrats took the majority of the Senate and the Assembly. My campaign not only kept me in South Brooklyn, but it took me to Flushing, it took me to Manhattan. Among my constituents and my supporters, they're deeply rooted in Manhattan. They're deeply rooted. We had a mass exodus of Manhattanites, especially from Lower Manhattan, of the Asian community, to Brooklyn over the last 20 years, and they still have their doctors, their lawyers, their CPAs, their businesses, their families and relatives, and their dentists out in Chinatown, out in Lower Manhattan. Some of our business owners still conduct business in Manhattan, where they must travel to Manhattan daily, sometimes twice a day, sometimes more, 5 times a week, 6 times a week. This is nothing more than another tax on the working class to come up with more money to supplement the wasteful spending of the state in our state of affairs right now. From corner to corner, people are concerned. They asked me, they said, Steve, when we make $1, how much of that dollar is Governor Hochul going to let me keep? We have to pay income tax, real estate tax, we have to pay our utilities, we have to pay capital gains tax, tolls, and now congestion pricing. How much of that dollar is left for my constituents, the real working class, the backbone of New York, the taxpayers? And I'm disappointed in Governor Hochul for bringing back the idea of congestion pricing right after the election. As Senator Ord had mentioned, to me, it was nothing but a dog and pony show for the election to suspend the congestion pricing. It's no surprise that it's back. I'm surprised it's not back sooner. So I'm very disappointed. I aim to go up to Albany to work with my future colleagues in January to fight this tooth and nail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Chan. I'm looking forward to having him, former NYPD sergeant and a Marine, and that's what we need more of in Albany in general. So at this time, I want to call up somebody, a good friend of mine, another, also a former police officer, albeit in upstate Hudson Valley, but someone who's been a great colleague, someone who has been through 2 elections now to the state senate, someone who knows this issue and has stood, unlike Governor Hochul, unlike some of my other colleagues who've been on both sides of it. They've been, having it back and forth. Senator Rollison has always been steadfast and clear in his opposition to this plan, and that's why he's a great leader and a great elected official. Senator Rob Rollison.
Thank you, Leader. And Steve, welcome to the New York State Senate, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Really, we're so glad to have you as part of our conference. Standing against reckless spending, I think your point about when your constituents say, just like mine, how much of my dollar do I have to keep? Well, we know it's not a whole heck of a lot. And I represent the 39th district, which is approximately half of Dutchess County, where I reside. We've got a little bit of Orange, City of Newburgh, Town of Montgomery, and then Putnam Valley and Phillipstown in Putnam County. And when you think about the impacts that congestion pricing has outside of the term scheme and dishonesty of the governor, that people are fed up with the way Albany spends money. This is just another example of money going someplace with no accountability. You know, I called on the MTA for a forensic audit to really understand where monies are being spent. How can they be spent better? But yet, you know, the reason that they don't want to do it is because they want congestion pricing to make up for the shortfalls that they come back and tell us every year that they have. And in Orange County specifically, on the west of Hudson for Metro North, you go into New Jersey, there isn't a one-seat ride into Manhattan. So many individuals have to drive. They can't take a train that's going to get them to where they need to go as you can on the east of Hudson, on the Hudson line. So this is going to impact their pocketbooks severely. You've got businesses on all sides of the Hudson, but specifically we had conversations with Orange County businesses that come into downtown, south of 60th Street, with critical supplies for healthcare institutions and schools, and they're saying, what's my business model going to look like now? Am I going to want to continue to do this? They have a significant customer base down here. So what that means is their prices are going to go up, which is going to impact the businesses and institutions south of 60th Street. And then Dutchess County, if you're on the Taconic State Parkway or Route 684, where the amount of traffic that is driving in to New York City, many of those individuals are driving in south of 60th Street, and they're impacted. I saw a number just the other day that about $4,000 can be added in additional costs to businesses and to individuals and families. That is a heck of a lot of money. Just like Steve said, how much of that dollar? Well, $4,000 possibly is going to go into a congestion pricing scheme. And when I ran for election the first time and just recently concluded re-election, you know, we talked about what are the things that are on people's minds, and obviously public safety, affordability, the migrant crisis. But you know something else that's on people's minds, and I heard this a lot, more so this time than the first time, was they don't trust government. And why should they? When the governor came out and said, I'm pausing this because of inflation, I would say 99% of the people that I spoke to said, yeah, and we're going to see it after Election Day. Well, guess what? Here it is. You could have done it a week ago. You could have done it a month ago. But we know that politics plays a pivotal role in this congestion pricing issue. And now that the election is done, it's time to come out and say, guess what, folks? Inflation's not down, but congestion pricing is coming back in some other form. Whether it's $15, $11, or $9, it's too much. We shouldn't have it. And there's got to be ways that the MTA and other state agencies can work on how they can lessen costs to operate. And I'll leave you with this, is that when you have one party in control of government, there's no reason to have those discussions because you control everything. That's why I'm proud of this conference, so proud of Steve coming up to Albany right after the first year with us. So we make those arguments. And people need to hear that we are making those arguments on behalf of the taxpayers of this state, this city, and the communities that I represent. And I'm looking forward to going back there in January and having those conversations again. And as the leader said, some of our Democratic colleagues have said, yeah, we're against this now. Let's see where they are after January. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Rolison. And something that Senator Rolison said, I think that's important, is that people aren't dumb. People know. I don't care what education level somebody is. People know. The fact that they knew it would come back after Election Day, it tells you how cynical people have gotten about Albany, about politics, and that should be disappointing. That shouldn't be just like, well, that's, sometimes we say it with a smile. That should disappoint all of us in elected office, that people, they're smart, but they understand they're cynical, and they have every right to be cynical because of moves like this that are it reinforces that cynicism. And again, we're going to remind people, we're not going to let this go. We're going to the Democrats and those who are pushing this may think the next election lasts 2 years away. People will forget. I bet they won't. I bet they won't forget, and I'll make sure that they do not forget. If I got to come down here once a month, once a week, we'll make sure they remember, and we'll be in Orange County and Long Island. Those constituents will remember 2 years from now when Governor Hochul is asking for their vote. And at this time, I want to call up a member of the Assembly, so certainly no stranger to this issue. He represents South Brooklyn, Assemblyman Michael Novikov.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for everyone for coming out today to stand up against this outrageous plan for congestion pricing, which Governor Hochul is pushing forward just a week after the election. We warned that this was coming, didn't we? And here we are. You would think, out of basic decency, the governor would wait just a bit longer, but let's be honest. We know that this isn't about decency. It's hypocrisy at its finest. Remember how Governor Hochul claims to care so much about poor New Yorkers who would be hit hardest by this. Do you remember? So, did New Yorkers suddenly get rich overnight? Anything changed after the election night? This is a desperate move. The governor knows time is running out and New Yorkers are fed up. She's pushing this plan, as if it's our only option for saving the MTA. The truth is that MTA's financial crisis isn't our fault. They've had years to manage their budget, yet here they are with billions in debt and no accountability. Let's talk solutions, Governor. How about addressing the massive cost of illegal immigration on our state budget and directing some of that money towards the MTA? How about restoring proper funding to the NYPD so people feel safe on subways and buses again? And how about fixing the real issue by holding the MTA accountable, replacing ineffective leadership, and ensuring that everyone pays their fair share? That isn't about traffic or the environment. If it were, Hochul would look at real solutions like expanding transit access, making commutes safer, and building up infrastructure. Instead, she's rushing through a new tax on New Yorkers that only serves one purpose: bringing in money for a mismanaged agency. More money to a mismanaged agency. We're here to say no to this unjust, unfair tax on working New Yorkers. We won't stand by while politicians pass the cost of their failures onto the rest of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. That was well done, and I think very much articulated a lot of things we said here today. So we have, we're also joined, I want to recognize Assemblywoman Jamie Miller, who is also, Jamie Williams, who is also here. You're going to hear from her momentarily. I appreciate her being here, and I appreciate everyone, all the electeds being here. And I have to say, I know I'm being a little hard on my Democratic colleagues in the Senate, but there are a lot of Democrats who are here. This is not one of those partisan issues. This is one of those bipartisan issues. That's why it's so powerful. That's why people are so afraid of it. That's why they're trying to sneak it in at the end, because they know that Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated voters don't like this. So this is not one of those only Republicans, only Democrats. There's a lot of Democrats not in elected office, Democratic constituencies, Democratic New Yorkers who are opposed to this. And I'm grateful that they are willing to be here and stand shoulder to shoulder with me. And I'm happy to stand shoulder to shoulder with them on this topic. I want to bring up Dr. Thomas Chan, a member of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance. to speak on this issue and how it affects his community. Dr. Chan?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Chan, and I have practiced pulmonary medicine for more than 30 years in this area. And I'm a member of the Chinatown and Little Italy Coalition for No Congestion Tax. And I'm a local people here. I'm representing the people in this local area. I'm not here for Republicans or for Democrats. Remember, I'm representing our people here. So, let me tell you this. The congestion pricing will be detrimental to our Chinatown and Little Italy. Let me explain to you the major problems we will face with the congestion pricing. First, for our local economy, after September 11 and pandemic, our local economy is much worse, and we have not recovered yet. Currently, we have many elderly and new immigrants left behind in our area, and they have less purchasing power. So, like Chinatown and Little Italy are heavily dependent on outside consumer from out of ball. With the congestion fee, many will not come to eat and shop in Chinatown and Little Italy. And our restaurant and store will have problems, and many might close down. Second, for our workers, for example, many of our hospital workers and restaurant workers come from outer boroughs, and they often work until late at night. Because of the safety concerns, they are often afraid to take the subway home and would prefer to drive or carpool. However, with the congestion fee, many cannot afford to come to Manhattan to work. And our Chinatown and Little Italy areas are already facing severe shortage of workers. If they're not coming to work, ultimately we may not have enough staff to operate our business. And then third thing, as a doctor, I would like to mention about patients. We have many medical offices in this area. Like in Chinatown, Little Italy area, we have more than like a few hundred doctor offices. And many of our patients come back to Chinatown to see us because they want to get medical care from us, because they trust our long-time doctors. And there is low language barrier. With the congestion fee, they will not come to get their need a medical visit. Just for instance, my asthma patient will have an attack. They will not come back to see me. They will just end up in the emergency room in the hospital, not getting care. And for our local residents, the one who live around this area, so why should our local resident who just happen to live in the central business district area be required to pay the congestion fee to leave Manhattan for work or to visit relatives and friends, for example, to New Jersey? And many of our poor local residents just could not afford this extra financial burden on them. My conclusion, the congestion pricing will be devastating to our local areas. I hope our Governor Hochul will cancel congestion pricing, and I will ask her to work with our newly elected Donald Trump to get help and to work with him to make MTA service better. I think that's the key, to work with Donald Trump to get things fixed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. And then briefly, then I'll close it up and take questions. But I want to recognize and offer to say a few words. Assemblywoman Jamie Williams. Jamie.
Thank you so much. So for the record, I represent Southeast Brooklyn. And back in 2019, when congestion pricing came to the floor in the budget, I voted a very firm no on it then, and I am still a very firm no against it now. So on Tuesday, I joined my colleagues in Staten Island regarding this congestion pricing, and Governor Hochul quickly did a press conference saying that she's not going to be swayed by the loud voices, and she is not going to be swayed by lawsuits. And she loves New Yorkers. Well, I'm saying to you, Governor Hochul, we here in New York City, things are already tough for us. If you think the $9 fee is going to be okay, guess what? You go to the supermarket and you come up $9 short, and you tell me if they're going to say, you know what, go right ahead, it's okay. So if you so love New Yorkers, do the right thing. But you know what? We can clearly see today you did a bait and switch where you said you were going to have it on pause, and now, not even 2 weeks after the election, here we are once again. So I'm saying to you, Governor Hochul, I know you don't want to be swayed, but on this one, if you do love New Yorkers, do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assemblywoman. And I would say, if the governor says she's not going to, maybe she's not going to be swayed by my voice or Senator Rolliston's voice or Senator Shan's voice or the Assemblywoman's voice or the Assemblyman's voice, but she should be swayed by the people of New York's voice, because that's who she works for. And like I said, New Yorkers will remember. New Yorkers will remember, and she's up for re-election in 2 years, and she's going to ask people for their vote, and I hope she hears loud and clear what she is going to do to their pocketbooks, to their wallets, to their business at a time when we're paying 25-30% more in the grocery store. Everything is up, and at this time, and again, the way she did it, if she had some strength of character, she would just say, enough. This isn't happening right now. Now is not the time. This is going to be crushing the New Yorkers, the small businesses, but she's not doing that. And that's unfortunate for the people of New York. And they deserve a better governor. They deserve a stronger governor. They deserve a governor who's honest with them and who doesn't do a bait and switch, as the Assemblywoman said. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen in 2026. So at this time, I want to take any questions. I do want to, nice to see you, David. I want to recognize David Weppert is here. We're done with the speaking portion. I'm going to take some questions. But we do have someone, David Weppert, who is here. You know, it's funny. I do a press conference here, and everyone's showing up, right? It's like a magnet. Everyone's showing up. They want to be seen at this press conference on this issue. So David, for David's constituents, you see he's here. And look, we welcome, I'm glad Democrats, Assembly members, senators, I'm glad everyone wants to be here, because it is the right place to be in. We are asking for the right policy on this issue. The governor is wrong. She's wrong in policy. She's wrong in the way she's doing it. And again, she's not fooling anybody. And I think you can see that with the bipartisan sort of message that we're seeing here. So I want to thank David for being here. I want to thank the Assemblyman for being here. I'm sure they had people that said, don't go to that. Those are Republicans that are going to be there. But they have strong enough character. They know this is the right issue. They know where their constituents are. They know who they work for. And it's not their party leaders, just like it's the people of their districts. And so I applaud them. And with that, I will take, again, I want to thank my colleagues, Senator-elect Chan, hot off the press, new senator, and of course, Senator Rolliston, who's here, and Assemblyman Michael Namakoff, who did a great job as well. So with that.